Being a Canon shooter, I currently live in an R-mount world, and rightfully so. I now own 2 R6s and 5 lenses, 4 of which are native to the RF mount. I do, however, own an EF lens, and in this video, I'm going to share why I actually pulled the trigger and got it still in 2022. So good to be seen, and it's even better to see you. Welcome back to another video. In case we are meeting for the first time, I am Francis, destination wedding photographer based out of Puerto Rico. In this video, we're going to be talking about the only Canon EF lens I own and why I think it's still worth buying heading into 2023. That lens, of course, is none other than the Canon EF 85mm f1.4 ISL USM. Now, to answer the question you might be asking yourself, why didn't you just get the native RF 85mm f1.2? Well, that's actually a really good question, and that's completely reasonable, and we're going to be diving into that. Reason number one is the fact that this EF version features image stabilization. I'll be the first one to admit that I am a stabilization fiend, and as a photographer, you can't have enough of it. I know my R6 has IBIS built in, but when paired with this EF lens, it increases even more. An added bonus is the fact that I'm almost always shooting in low light as a wedding photographer and event photographer, and I can afford to lower the shutter speed quite a bit and still get a tack sharp image fully wide open at f1.4. Speaking of which, the second reason why I got this lens is exactly that aperture. For starters, I had never owned a lens so fast, and having a wide aperture was definitely a breath of fresh air. More importantly, I went with this over the RF 1.2 because when comparing images side by side from other YouTubers, the difference in depth of field, it was negligible and minimal. This EF version is still a bokeh monster and more than plenty for you guys watching this video out there. And finally, last but not least, is the investment required to attain it. In all honesty, this lens isn't even that old. It came out in 2017, so the technology really isn't that far off from where we stand today. Furthermore, I bought it used off a fellow photographer for, get this, $900. That's right. And it pales in comparison to what you'd have to dish out for the native RF 1.2 at close to $3,000. Another reason why I went with the EF version is because I invested thousands into the RF Trinity, as well as the 100 macro for those detail shots, and needed to allocate capital towards new Amaran cob lights, light stands, and even a Pelican, to name a few of my other expenses. Now, what I want to do is show you some sample images I took with this behemoth at a recent elopement, and the results should speak for themselves. The images that you can attain with this baby are otherworldly. The stabilization is a must for portraits and B-roll, as well as some background separation. Trust me when I say this, going for the Canon EF 85mm f1.4 is not settling at all. So think about making the purchase today. I've linked it in the description so that you can check it out for yourself. Hey, and listen, if you're still not sold on it, perhaps this review of the more budget-friendly RF 85 f2 is a possible option. I'll link it here so that you can compare. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in there.